Welcome to Whatif tutorials. In this tutorial I'll be talking about project costing module master files. These fall into three main groups. The first group is customer related master files because each project refers to a customer or can refer to a customer. Secondly, project related master files, as each project has a number of master files specific to it. And thirdly, labour related master files. Finally, I'll be looking at configure labour shifts in a little bit more detail. For these first three lots of master files, however, I'll be touching on them briefly, but refer to previous tutorials, product quotes master files, job related master files, and work centres, work centre labour rates, work centre overhead rates to cover these areas in full. I'll take a moment now, if you want to just note these references here for you to follow up with the details of customer related, project related or labour related master files. As I mentioned, I'll be dealing with configured labour shifts in a bit more detail. Okay, let's start then. I'll shut this, click master files, and you'll see we've got labour related master files, customer related and project related master files, as well as those ones which we just referred to. There are a couple of others I'll also be talking about. Very briefly, labour related master files. Labour basically starts within each factory, and then within each factory there are work centres. Then for each work centre there are standard labour rates, standard work centre overhead rates. There are also standard operations within each work centre that can be reused in various activities, as opposed to non-standard operations which are created specifically for each activity. So they are the labour related overheads. I'll come back to shift configurations, but the other ones here are covered in the job related, labour related master files. Customer related master files, the customer's variables, market types to which the customer belongs, states, postcodes, salesperson, discount groups, and customers themselves. These are all referred to in another tutorial for product quotes master files. Project related, there are project types, and there are driver classes and cost drivers. Then there are subcontract classes and other cost classes, and there are subcontract and other cost operations which can be reused just like standard labour operations. Finally, there are standard materials usages. These are covered quite well in the job related master files tutorial. Let me now go to dwell on shift configurations. Shift configurations are used to arrive at the cost per labour hour worked in a particular shift. So the shift will have a code, it'll have a description, it'll belong to a factory, it'll be in a work centre, and it could be afternoon, day or night shift. And it'll be based on an average salary, and it'll be based on overtime factors and overtime hours assumptions, finally to give you an average labour rate dollars per hour worked. So let's create one of these. Just to run you through it, click create. Because we started on here, it asks us if we want to actually start with this and make changes. So let's do it that way. We say yes. Alright, so we know that this is for the builder, factory, work center 1. We can make changes here. Code, we have to give it a code and a description. Now it needs to know what day of the week that the week begins on, because what we're going to be doing is adding configured shifts to activities, and those shifts are added on a date basis. So we need to know when the first day of the shift is for the week. Let's say Monday. Hours worked per shift, 8. We can make some comments. Okay. Now we're into the form showing the details of makeup to arrive at the average hourly rate per hour worked in this shift. So we have the rate with the details we've just put in, work center, code, description. Now we enter an average salary, so this might require a bit of thought, but depending on the nature of the shift and the people working in it, the classifications of them, how many there are and so on, you need to work out what is an average salary for that shift when it is worked. So let's say we might have 75,000. That converts to a base rate per hour. Now we want to actually calculate a rate per hour work, so we need to deduct the leave weeks. So we start off with 52.14 weeks a year. We deduct the leave, annual leave, sick leave, public holidays to get down to net weeks worked. Next we need to consider overtime. We've got overtime factor 1 and factor 2. So in this particular shift we're saying overtime could apply at time and a half, and it also could apply at double. Next we need to consider the allowances applicable to the shift. Now there's up to 6 allowances. You can select the allowance you want. And put in the dollars per hour applicable. And you notice there are 2 columns here, one for overtime assumptions and one for ordinary assumptions. Okay, so you can create your allowances as required. These have copied in because we started with another rate. Okay, now finally we come down to where the hours during the week are worked. So now you'll notice we're starting the week on a Monday because we indicated it was a Monday. So actually planning the way the hours are worked on the shift during the week. So the overtime at factor 1 goes in. Let's say we do this. Okay, and then overtime at factor 2 might be this. So that's now given us our model, 45 hours, of which 40 are ordinary, 3 at time and a half, and 2 at double. So we can put some comments in here, and we can just go OK. And what it's done, it is calculated a labour rate for that configured shift of 60.67. Just go back in there. There it is there. It's calculated the rate there. Okay, so when the shift is used, it'll cost labour per man hour at 60.67, which includes all of the on costs and allowances. So that is that. So we've actually created a configured shift which can be used later. So the master files, just to recap, we looked at labour related, customer related, project related. The other ones are here are supplier. So without going into details, these are covered elsewhere in other tutorials in the job quotes module. Value only materials, those are materials which don't come from the job costing module. So you might be adding materials in dollar terms, but nonetheless you want to actually classify them. So you can create for each factory a materials value code and a description. a long description if you wish, and a category which you choose from your existing categories in the costing module. And now you've created that, so that can be reused when you come to apply material costs to activities. Okay, so that will be covered in the activities tutorial. So there I'd like to leave the master files tutorial.